As the great independent director Mr. Werner Herzog once said, I despise formal restaurants. I find all of that formality to be very base and vile. I would much rather eat potato chips on the sidewalk.
Hello and welcome to Potato Chips on the Sidewalk. I'm Barbecue Ben. Joining me today is...
It is On the Run Jacob.
On the Run Jacob? What are you running from? Your responsibilities? Yep. So it was Barry Berkman, as we talk about season 4, episode 7 of Barry, entitled A Nice Meal.
Yum yum.
Before we get into it, what did you think of Barry season 4, episode 7?
Yeah, it's a fucking awesome penultimate episode. Talk about everything coming together, like perhaps a bit too perfectly, but it does what it needs to. It sets the stage for a pretty, should be explosive final episode. Like everyone sort of, this feels like the climax of the show.
I feel like there's going to be I feel like the next episode is going to be like a huge climax.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, it feels like we've entered the climax.
Oh yeah, well, we're definitely in the end of it. So last week I talked about how I wanted to, I was very excited to see what Jim Moss's psychological games he was doing to people to drive them insane.
Yeah.
And we get straight into it, where he's like doing this like sensory deprivation thing.
Yeah. And
Barry's just like he's back on the beach. He's he's seeing John. And as we talked about last week, where we were alluding to a Twin Peaks influence, he crossfaded his son's face and then put a red curtain behind his son. So it went from a Twin Peaks illusion to just a straight up homage.
Yes.
And Barry's just lost his mind, and he talks about how he mentions that he gave $250,000 to
Fugues.
To Cousineau.
Oh yes.
And
yeah.
Jim.
Yeah. I always get the names mixed up, even 4 seasons into the show.
And Jim Moss, he hears that, and he's like, "Yeah, I knew that. Like, why did Barry give him $250,000?" And he pulls out this diary of notes, and he leaves Barry to wallow in this torture chamber. And then we don't see Jim Moss for a while after that. And then we cut to Cousineau, where he's seemingly principled now and wants to boycott the Barry biopic, and is getting traction on social media to stop it from happening, to protect Janice's memories. And he gets a phone call from this random agent telling him that Daniel Day-Lewis wants to play you in the biopic. And
from
Cousineau,
my left foot.
Yeah, that's a deep cut. He basically, he didn't lose any conviction. He just He just stopped
sh-
pretending.
He showed his ass. Like that's the thing. I said in the last episode, I didn't buy Kuzuno's whole newfound persona.
Yeah, no, not at all. Because he's just kind of.
I was proven immediately right.
Yeah, like he's he just immediately is just like, okay, but we have to do this secretly. Like he can't even like for 1 second entertain the idea that like, first of all, it might be like someone trying to get him, but also
which like there's many reasons for like
yeah, and he can't like fathom that, or even like the idea of like, maybe, okay, I don't care if Daniel Day-Lewis wants to play me.
Yeah.
Like, maybe some things are more important than that. And that's just not who Kusuno is. Like, he's a pathetic character where, like, I felt sorry for him for a long time throughout the show.
Yeah.
And a lot of bad stuff has happened to him, but at the end of the day, he is just like, he is just this attention-seeking little weasel.
Yeah, exactly. He has no conviction or no backbone. Like,
yeah, at all. Clout chasing,
exactly.
one might say. And then he meets with this agent, and Sally calls him first, and he won't even like pick up Sally from. He hasn't heard from her in 8 years, and like he finds out that she has a son after all this time, and he won't even like move the meeting to like like help this person he's like meant to care about.
And he has like no reason to believe that she herself isn't in danger from Barry. Like,
yeah, well, also like she like sounds panicked as well. Like there's nothing like going on for Kusuno except for just like selfish reasons. And then he meets with this guy who tells him that the studio wants Mark Wahlberg to play Barry.
yeah.
But Mark Wahlberg, being the great guy that he is, doesn't want to play a cop killer. But, you know, like, regardless of what Mark Wahlberg did in his past, you know, like, not alluding to anything there if you don't want to Google Mark Wahlberg hate crime. But, you know, like, he wants to make Barry more sympathetic. So he's more like palatable to play for Mark Wahlberg. And again, Kusuno just like loses any and all conviction to like not to say no to this. Like he's like, oh no, Barry's sympathetic, Barry's a good guy. Like and
that's the thing, because afterwards, obviously it's a Jim Moss like set up, like and that's the thing. Like Jim Moss ends up creating a mostly false narrative that makes it look like Gene was in on killing his daughter, and it actually was one of the culprits. But like that, in a weird way, that was kind of Gene's own doing, because he gave him so many opportunities through this Daniel Day-Lewis agent to show that he actually has conviction and isn't in this for money or good recognition, and he just fails every single time. So like Gene,
like
obviously,
like Jim has no reason to believe like the $250,000 like came from anything but Jane just being like a terrible person.
Exactly. And when in the reality that was just like not a great thing Gene did, but like he was being kidnapped at that point. Like,
well, the thing is with like he was given it as like a take it, spend it, and I won't kill you and your family. Like
exactly,
it was under duress.
Exactly, but Gene gave Jim Moss the ammunition to not believe a single bit of goodwill in him. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and it's also like everything like in the story that Jim was promoting like did like line up with Barry being like, like he was found with the Raven next to the car that Janice's body was like stored in.
Exactly, yeah.
Like everything like came together against Cousineau. Like for everything bad Cousineau has done and is doing, he didn't do this. So no. that's where like the slight tragedy comes in. Like he doesn't deserve to be blamed for her death, but at the same time, he like purported to talk about how he wanted to honor her memory, and then just like gave that up so quickly.
He gave no reason for Jim Moss to ever think of like. He doesn't deserve to be blamed for a murder he didn't commit, but he also... this was his own doing at the same time. Almost,
Yeah, 100%. And we switched to, like, the other half of the episode. Hank has decided to hire... what's the... acronym he uses for them, like the fucked up badass killers, is that what it is?
Yeah.
And he gets a team of 4 of them to go and invade the house that Fuchs has taken. I'm sorry, the Raven has taken over.
Yeah.
And he has sent back all their heads in a box in a very funny comedic scene. Like, as we're talking about all like this terrible stuff that's going on, the show is still funny.
Yes,
like this slapstick scene where he keeps opening the boxes when he knows they're full of heads.
Why do I keep on opening it?
Yeah, like no, Hank, funny character, terrible person doing terrible things, but
he's fun to watch.
Fun to watch, like in season 2. When he gets the guy to snipe into Barry's apartment, and he's like up dancing on the roof and everything, like he's just a funny guy, funny guy. Anthony Carrigan, good stuff. And then in like another like Looney Tunes scene, they go to fire like a ballistic rocket at the house, because he's just like, I don't care about the house anymore, I just want oh wait, no, I skipped over one of the best scenes in the this season before we get to the rocket, where Fuchs, his new wife and his new stepdaughter
yes,
are sitting there stunned on the couch while Fuchs and the Raven gang are trying to figure out ways to prevent them from seeing more assassins get their head chopped off, and propose all these like just like ineffective ideas to get the women out of the house so they don't have to witness like that anything again. Well, they're not saying anything; they're just like sitting there in shock, and they're talking about like taking them out for a nice meal, the episode title, and then and like, oh, what if we just put a movie on, like a loud movie, Fast and Furious, and start arguing about it. And it's like there's no like real like jokes and punchlines. It's just like the camera cuts and the position that's like all really like coming all together in this very funny scene.
And the fact that like the last two episodes have taken over the pace of 2 days is like
yeah. It's very, very funny. And then Hank goes and fires this rocket at the house, and then it misses, and it ensues into this. Like the camera, I think only pans. It doesn't move as they like argue about like budgetary reasons why they only had one missile that like missed the house, and they don't have another one, and then Fuchs again start like firing at them, and they get in the car and it drives down the hill. And then the driver gets shot, and Hank's like on the phone with Fuchs while like he's like getting chased by all these like machine guns. Like it's just like this real like cartoonish action scene, and I'm just happy that like Bill Hader still found like the time for this kind of like humor in the show. Like which did start out like as like a like an action comedy type thing. Like of course the there is like a harrowing scene in that show in like the first season involving his like ex-military buddy, but the show has progressively gotten a little bit less comedic as time gone on, but like it still has time for stuff like this, which I'm very happy about in the end. So like Hank escapes this ambush gone wrong, and it's just like, okay, we have to go find Kusuno to lure Barry out so he can kill Fuchs for me, which is ultimately at some point they had to decide how to get these characters all back together, because I don't think Hank and Barry have talked over the phone while he was in prison, but they haven't interacted at all this season. Yeah. Have you got any thoughts? I just feel like I'm rambling.
Well, you pretty much covered everything. That's the thing. It's like everyone's sort of coming together, and I can see the Hank and Barry thing going two ways.
Yeah.
Like, either it's legit, he wants to make a peace offering to Fuchs by killing Barry.
Okay, yeah.
Capturing him alive for Fuchs to kill. Or he's going to use Barry to try and kill Fuchs.
Yeah, well, I think that's what he's trying to do, like get. And he's and he finds Sally at Kusuno's place after she like interacts with this policeman.
Yeah. Like, is this the first time he's met Sally in the show?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
But as you were saying like last week, Sally's like in this purgatory where she like starts talking to this cop, and his eye just starts bleeding, and she can't.
Yeah, that's very much like the whole Twin Peaks: The Return thing of the when the old
with
lady
Audrey.
going, the old lady and the kid in the car going,
yeah. And like I'm I think it is the first time that Hank has met Sally throughout the show, and Barry has like escaped the bindings by Jim, which I feel like it was easy enough for Barry to escape because Jim wants him to.
Yeah,
I'll get to that one, and I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen in the final episode. But he's escaped, and then Hank calls Barry on Sally's phone, and he like picks up, and Hank tells him like if he ever wants to see them again, he has to come and see Hank, and then the episode ends. I think Jim Moss wants this all to happen so he can get them all at once.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And but or also it could just be that he took his eyes off the prize and wants Kuzno to go down because he hates Kuzno more than he hates Barry.
Do you think that?
Pun?
Do you think he hates Kushno more than Barry?
Probably. Again, it's like, how do I say this? I think he finally was given a reason because he's obviously been very judgmental of Kuzno this entire time.
Yeah.
But I think he's kind of, in a way, was kind of looking for a reason to pin Kuzno as well.
Yeah.
Like he was ultimately untrusting of Kuzno, whether for the right or wrong reasons, you know?
Yeah, he like never liked he never liked Kushno, but I thought he would have like, you know, like at least respected him for the way he like did he knew that like Janice did like him, but
yeah,
I feel like he was pretty convinced of Kushino's like good nature up until he set this plan in motion to like lure him out with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah. No, I understand that. All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
so should we get into predictions?
Yeah, so I was literally about to ask you: is Barry dead or alive at the end of the last episode?
In all honesty, the most subversive thing the show could do right now is keep him alive.
Yeah, I think he's gonna survive as well.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, man.
I'm not sure, like, not necessarily what order everything's going to play out in, but yeah, it would. I don't know, because it seems like it's always been prophesized that Barry's going to die, that's the only way the show could end. So I think out of that expectation, Bill Hader won't kill Barry.
Yeah. Actually, I've completely forgot to mention this. The show, like, opens with Jim Moss, or this episode opens with, like, Jim Moss explicitly stating, like, my thesis of what I think the show's been about since last season, where, like, Barry's just so scared of being punished in hell for what he's done. And his, like, oh, so you're a man of God now. Like, just because you repented doesn't mean you get to choose where you go when everything's over. I don't think that's an argument for him dying, but I also think hell for Barry is his dread of what comes after.
Yeah.
So keeping him alive, I think, is a way to do that to him.
Punishes him more. Yeah.
Yeah. And NoHo Hank and Fuchs, where do you think they go?
Well, one of them's going to die at least, if not both.
I think both of them do.
Yeah, I said if not both.
Yeah.
Look, the fact that the Raven, is seemingly such an unstoppable force now, I feel like he kind of has to die. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and well, yeah. There's as for Kuzno, I feel like he still has one more big plot point in this.
Well, I can see an ending where Kuzno's trapped in prison with Barry.
I can see that. I can also see one of Fuchs or Kuzno making amends with Barry as well, in a way, like, because there is this whole, like, kind of fucked up, like, mentor love story between, like, Barry, Kuzno, and Barry and Fuchs. So it's like I wouldn't be surprised if that's it, and there is this sort of fucked up, like, love for each other that kind of, like, makes Barry survive.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Anyway, one last thing. I think the most sad character in the show so far. Oh, all right. Now, what do we think happens to Sally?
Again, I'm not sure, because the happy ending is she, even though, you know, she made herself an accomplice to all this, the happy ending is she and her kid are okay and are in witness protection. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel one of her or the kid's gonna die.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That would torture the hell out of Barry.
Yeah. But that's the
Especially
thing.
if John
That's the
died.
thing. It's like, is Bill Hader above fridging though? Because that could be considered fridging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Anyway, TV's
Yeah.
almost over.
We said that 2
Can't believe
episodes in a
it.
row. Yeah.
I know, I can't believe it.
Exactly. TV's done.
It's done. It's over.
Nada.
Anyway, I can't wait to see
Where this all ends.
and evaluate how this ends. I'm very excited. How
All
about
right.
you?
No, I'm excited as well. All right.
Right.
So we'll see you all next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.